That's Project Iron Podcast.
Abrupt ending.
Yes, this is, what have we got? Saturday, May 11th already. I sound like a toad. I'm just getting over a cold, so apologies for that. I understand Kyle may be suffering with a similar ailment.
That's what I hear.
It's the four of us today. We got Jimmy, and we got Andy, we got Zach, newcomer.
Hey, Zach.
Welcome.
Welcome,
One of my pupils, and me. So what's going on, fellas?
Not much, man. Just enjoying a little bit of spring weather.
Finally.
Yeah, all this wet and surprise snow
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago, and
Yeah, enough of that.
it's nice to get out and mow the yard.
Yeah, I mowed today too.
Productive adult activity.
Indeed.
Always feels good when it's done. It's that whole getting started thing.
In particular, the first one
Mhm.
usually is the longest.
Right.
The longest grass. Anyway, so yeah, check us out online at what do we got? Project Iron Podcast and YouTube. Email us projectironpodcast@gmail.com for topic suggestions, advertisers. We do take sponsors. And also, if you would like to be a guest on the show, anything like that, projectironpodcast@gmail.com. Check us out on iTunes, where you can get the audio-only feed, which is not currently up to date. That's my project next week. But anyway, we are live. Good to be here. What do we got first on the list of topics?
Do you want to do the vape thing?
Yeah, so this has got me all cheesed off, being a lifelong chain smoker. There's this.
I never knew.
Yeah. There's this radical proposition in Spirit Lake right now, which is they're trying to implement these so-called nicotine-free zones, which essentially resolves to basically banning vaping in public areas. So you go to the park. Obviously, you can't smoke, traditional cigarettes in a public park, but you can vape. And these vape sticks, like Adam's a big vapor, right? He vapes in the show.
He loves vaping,
yeah. These things contain, water vapor, which the main, pull for them is the nicotine content. Smokers can use these vape pens to get off traditional cigarettes. They're usually touted as being safer than your regular cigarettes, but you still get your nicotine. Well, effectively, this proposition would be banning vaping from public parks because these vape pens contain nicotine.
And what do they think a public park is?
Well,
would that be the
That's a good
Arnold's
question.
Park or
probably? I would guess so. Like
Sidewalks,
public areas.
sidewalks in town. I mean, that'd be like city property.
Municipally
right?
owned.
But in
property,
your basement,
right?
You could go down into your basement and vape by yourself, I suppose.
gonna have to go and make a vape bar in Spirit Lake.
Right. That's a great idea. My argument is, well, what about these vaping systems? They don't all contain nicotine. In other words, you can vape and just have water vapor. So what is this going to look like? Are cops going to have to drive around town policing this thing and taking nicotine testing devices with them to see if you're really smoking nicotine or if it's just regular water vapor?
And that's the thing, right?
So-
It's a nicotine ban.
Right. They're very specific.
So
I have a dad who's a cop, and he has a few funny stories. Whenever he finds people with fireworks or whatever, he essentially asks them something along. And this was before the firework ban or the unban or whatever. He would go up to them and ask something along the lines of, Are these fireworks owned by you or something like that? And it's like, yeah, they are. And it's like, let me ask this question again. Are these fireworks owned by you? Because if they said yes, that's a lot more paperwork. If they said no, it's like, okay, then I just found fireworks and they just go into my car and I take care of them. So it's like, I could see some cops going up and be like, so is that pen you're smoking right now, does it have nicotine in it? Yes, it does. I'm going to ask this question again.
Because honestly, these things, we know how much Adam vapes here. It's like plumes of vapor.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't smell anything when he
Yeah.
does that.
No.
I don't know if you guys.
if anything, you smell like whatever the flavor is,
right,
a
like
little
cherry.
bit,
Yeah.
but it's not like a secondhand
Right.
exposure.
And even
Like when you went to the bars, back when the
Right.
bars had, you could smoke in the bars.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to remember that.
Oh,
I don't,
yeah.
you guys,
Yeah.
and
Of course.
restaurants.
oh yeah,
That was
Smoking
having
smoking
fun.
sections,
Yeah.
and which it was just on the other side of a half wall.
Yep. Usually had better ventilation.
Yeah.
Usually.
But I mean, that was exposure.
Yeah,
That I understand.
definitely. Oh,
An
for sure.
indoor thing, sure, but
Yep.
outside, in city parks like Esterville, I think you can smoke cigarettes in
Yeah,
city
I don't-
parks and stuff.
I guess we're gonna have
I
to
mean,
try
I feel
after this
like-
podcast.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know we could. I know
A lot
they
of the
like
test.
parents could smoke out front of the pool when I when I
Mhm.
was working at the pool and stuff like that. They'd go sit on those benches, on the north side. But I mean, hell, we had some South African guys come in and were smoking like in the water. We had to go talk to. We had to go talk to them. Be like, guys, can't do that here. But
Pool is your ashtray.
yeah, but so is that going to work for chew too?
Yeah,
Smokeless tobacco.
I'm sure. With
It's-
nicotine.
yeah.
Right? It contains nicotine.
Right.
What I think is really stupid is one of the articles that was posted cited some study from some government agency, the ATF, I think, put it out that said that vaping was the most popular tobacco product for kids in 2018. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think vape pens contain tobacco.
They do not. They
That's the
do
whole point
not.
of doing vape as opposed to smoking a
Correct.
cigarette.
Mhm.
Correct.
That just shows you how
I
screwed
mean-
up the whole categorization is.
Right.
Now I'll admit I'm pretty ignorant on vape, and I know very little about it. Can you not include tobacco in it?
Well,
Or, like nicotine. Or
essentially, it's like
They're
a
different.
it's like a liquid. Like they
Right.
extract the nicotine out of a tobacco plant, I assume,
Mhm.
and then they put that into like a polyethylene glycol liquid,
Okay.
and so there is no tobacco physically present. It's like when they do those, they do them for cannabis and CBD and stuff
Right,
like
right.
that too, where they extract the active, put it in something inert, and then just heat it up to the temp of vaporization.
Yeah.
Boom, and you have it.
And I could be incorrect as well on this, but is nicotine a carcinogen, or is it like the other stuff that they include in cigarettes?
Now, nicotine in and of itself, you get some tachycardia, like your
Yeah,
heart
Yeah.
race.
It's like caffeine, right?
It's like caffeine.
Yeah,
it's in
yeah,
the
that's what I
exact same
thought.
family.
I,
Type
I've
thing.
heard doctors talk about, nicotine, and they basically say it's innocuous unless you have like high blood pressure or something, where you can't
Correct.
drink
Right.
caffeine and you shouldn't be
Mhm.
taking nicotine either. But
Correct.
it's basically what I understand is just a stimulant.
Yes, it is, and that's and so in that aspect, vaping would be safer. Now, what we don't know, and there are starting to be more studies on what the effects are and the health risks, but none of these effects are on secondhand exposure. We have, I mean, to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that there would be effect on another person,
Right.
and so this seems pretty ridiculous to me, unless they're just trying to ban them all because they can't tell which ones are nicotine and which ones are
Yeah,
THC, maybe a type of thing. I don't know, but
I don't know if THC vaping is a big thing in this area. Maybe it is.
up
but
here, yeah, probably not as much.
It wouldn't
But
surprise me.
this
with-
is very much a Spirit Lake initiative. To me, it's just bloviating and trying to just think of the children. And do you want your children to
Someone
start?
please?
Think
Yeah.
of the children.
Oh, well, I've heard Laura and Kyle complain about kids in the school with little vapes that look like flash drives and stuff,
Yeah.
and they're always vaping in the
Those
bathroom.
Juul
and-
things, the one that
Yeah,
Adam
but-
had that one time
Yep.
that like charges on his USB on his laptop
Yep.
and stuff.
Yeah.
It does. It looks
Yeah.
like a little flash drive.
So I suppose kids, maybe could be getting THC oil or something and just going through the day totally
Well,
fried.
You can put THC in obviously brownies too. Should we
Right.
ban brownies?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think so.
you can put it in.
Clearly.
You can really next step.
We need to do something to curb.
You can put it
THC,
in
right?
anything with fat in it, and it's the
Right.
same way with nicotine. Like it's a fat soluble molecule, so you can put it in. That's why they use the polyethylene glycol, is because it's a lipid base system that holds the nicotine well, whereas water it would separate out of. But I don't know, man. I know you can't reverse engineer the Juuls, like the cartridges specifically.
Mm.
You can't just open one up,
put
dumping
whatever you want in
THC.
it. Yeah.
Right, and THC and nicotine are gonna have different vaporization points. Like, I mean, unless they have little vape pens, but I think you can smell those too. At
Mhm.
least at the last concert I went to with my parents. The guy next to us was ripping a
Yeah.
a pot vape, and I could definitely smell it.
But
Mhm.
from what I've been reading is that's not even the central issue to this
Right.
ban. They haven't even mentioned THC.
Hmm.
It's just like needless legislation. It seems to me.
Yeah.
Spirit Lake and needless legislation.
Yeah, it shows you how many
Oh.
problems we've run, like how little we have to do over there. Like, we have to.
That's almost, you can almost say that's everybody's problem nowadays.
Mhm.
But I could even justify vaping on an airplane,
Mm.
which they won't let you do either. Like it's that like it impacts other people around you so little that
Yeah, it seems pretty benign,
Benign, yeah.
overall. You know,
Mhm.
I've never had a problem being around vapes
not
ever.
at all.
I know that like my sister and I, which we've the most that I've ever had was that like I was in a fire at one point, and so like being in an area that's like very smoky is like slightly weird to me.
Mhm.
And then my sister has asthma, and she doesn't like the water vapor stuff, and
Mm.
that's about as close as I get to having a problem with it.
Mhm.
But again, this would be secondhand.
Yeah.
She wouldn't want
Right.
to do it obviously
Outdoors.
herself. Yeah.
Right.
Or outdoors. Yeah.
Well, I mean, these are the people that are like blowing it in our faces,
Yeah,
which doesn't
exactly.
really happen all that often.
Exactly. I don't know. I sounded off on Facebook, of course.
Did you take any blowback in the comments section?
No,
or-
most people agreed with me.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
were the commenters were the ones who pointed out that this categorization of vape pens as a tobacco product was the result of the ATF,
Okay.
and it just shows me how backwards the government can be sometimes when it
Mm.
comes to things like this.
Mm-hmm.
Calling something a tobacco product which has no tobacco in it.
Yeah,
No,
that's interesting.
I mean, because honestly, yeah, that's how is the ATF involved? If anything, it should be maybe FDA, but FDA doesn't even regulate what's in OTC stuff at my drugstore.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like why are I guess I don't know the statutory language about their roles and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
Good
I'd
question.
have to refer to my legal counsel.
Did they on the vape thing? Did they state what the purpose was at any
Let me
point?
pull it up here.
Because I'd be curious to know exactly what they were setting out to ban or
Yep.
Hey, there's me.
Feedback.
Yay.
Feedback.
Turn
Feedback.
down. Well, there's two of us.
Oh yeah, the two viewers are you and me probably.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Oh,
Cheers,
fun.
buddy.
I keep it rolling just so I can see the chat. And
Yeah.
usually it's Kyle's job, but he's out sick today.
Every now and then Eric Hansen will
Yeah.
Drop in,
Drop in.
drop us a line.
Zach's been known to comment for time
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I know we lost a sub. We were up to 36. That was our high water mark, but
Wasn't-
I think our recent
I think I got Megan to subscribe.
okay,
I think.
good. Yeah, we need more fans, that's for sure.
There we go.
Jimmy and I were out eating at Pizza Hut the other day. Saw a Shep's PC repair card
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
located right next to the cash register.
Mm-hmm.
Good marketing.
Yeah,
Tell ya.
he's all over the place,
Good.
man.
Blanket the area with
Mhm.
Shep's PC repair ads or propaganda.
And who's Shep?
Jesse Shepard.
Shepherd,
Our
yeah.
friend of ours. Yeah, he's got his own computer repair business. Iowa Lakes graduate.
Oh, okay.
Now located out of the Lakeside.
Yes,
Right?
very true.
He moved
Yeah,
over there.
Definitely.
No, that's-
Still haven't run into him on the bike trails.
Yeah.
Waiting
You
for
bike
it.
a lot out on the
Yeah.
trails, Ben?
Yeah, we've been out
Those
a
trails
few
are
times.
Those trails are nice.
Yeah, they are.
over
We
there.
love it. We got the little kitty trailer, so we
Oh,
pull
nice.
Lily behind us.
Yeah.
It's a blast.
very cute.
Is it a cat
Alright.
ride too?
Yeah, she pretty much destroyed her arm a few years ago.
Yeah, I was
like,
gonna
just
ask you
shattered
about
it to
that.
pieces.
I remember that. That was a
Dude,
nasty.
bike wrecks can get gnarly, man.
And it wasn't
injury.
even. We were just in the neighborhood going really slow, and there was
Yeah.
this like stream of water draining out from somebody's sump pump, and it had like grass clippings and oil in it too. And
She was
she
all
just,
slept.
just barely touched it, and down she went.
Oh,
Wow.
Up one
That's
second.
too bad.
Oof,
Pretty
duh.
gnarly.
Yeah, Laura's mom broke her arm here the other day. Just kind of
Oh.
like maybe her ankle turned or something, and down she
Went
went.
to
and,
catch
yeah,
herself
and
and-
stuck a hand out, and
Thank God for my slow reflexes.
yeah,
I just take it right in the ass.
yeah. Well, funny enough, that's I'm really thankful for my youth background in quote unquote extreme sports because with all the falls you take, you sort of
You
learn
learn
to
how
like
to
Right.
fall.
Yeah, you
roll out of it.
roll
and-
out of it, exactly. take it on the hip, man.
Unfortunately, I got arthritis like a motherfucker in my hips
Yeah.
right now, and I took one on the hip and could barely stand for a
Yeah.
week.
That's
Alright.
true.
I got it here. So the group that's doing this is called the Feel Better Committee.
Oh my god! let's just start with that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Headed by Karen.
Oh my god.
We'll vote in the next month or so whether to adopt a nicotine-free policy for municipalities. Committee has been encouraging cities to adopt a nicotine-free policy in public spaces, particularly parks. The change would prohibit the use of not only cigarettes and chewing tobacco, but also forms of electronic smoking, such as vaping.
Oh man.
They want to see what the signs would look like to say that you can't vape here, blah, blah, blah.
Pizza Hut has a no vaping by the door sign.
Really?
It said
Yeah.
no smoking or vaping next to the door.
It says City of Milford has had some reservations about adopting it. It's not moving forward with it because of enforcement. They're worried about enforcing such a thing.
Good.
Um,
Valid concern.
Yeah, sensible.
yeah, I would say so. Pretty good. I mean, generally, it looks favorable that this thing is going to pass based on what I've read about it.
So
But
the Feel Good
the
Committee
Feel Good Committee is going to pass
has
it.
they like who is the feel? Is it like a city council
Yeah,
subcommittee or
yeah.
like who gave the Feel Good Committee all this power?
I don't know. It's a great question.
That name just floors me kind of.
Oh,
Feel good?
no.
Yeah, I mean, is that really who you want making rules?
No.
But, how do I feel? I mean, yeah.
Facts don't care about your feelings, folks.
Oh, we're invoking Ben Shapiro.
I heard Ben took some heat
got
here
wrecked.
the other day. Yeah, he
over,
did
at,
get
over at
wrecked.
BBC, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw that.
What
He owned up
happened?
to it too. I think.
exactly.
That was good.
Do
I
you guys
actually-
know?
I didn't see it, but I saw the
I
Tim
just,
Pool
yeah, I just read a.
did a report on it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
just
he was
read a
getting
deal.
interviewed or something, and
Guy was
know.
using his clips
yeah.
against him, and then I think he bailed. Like he just got up and left.
Nice.
I'm all done with this. See you later.
So, I don't know. Do you guys like Ben Shapiro, or what do you?
I
What's
like
your
his
thoughts on it?
views, but I can't listen to him for more than a couple minutes because his
Yeah.
voice drives me
Yeah.
insane.
His voice is
Pretty,
awful.
insufferable that way, huh?
Yeah.
I'd find it just going on YouTube and then setting him to about like 0.5% speed or something like that. He sounds like a normal guy.
It's a good strategy.
good idea.
man.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about him.
I'm not really either, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of with you, Vin. I like some of the things he has to say, and some of the Ben Shapiro destroys
Yeah.
so and so college kid or whatever. It can be kind of amusing, but
Yeah.
I don't know how much. He's turning into more of an entertainer, I think,
I
than
think so, too.
anything else, especially lately.
I could see that.
Oh man, they want to do this like a statewide thing. This feel good deal.
Oh, the feel gooders.
The it's a committee of the local Walmart healthy hometown. So like Blue Cross Blue
Sure.
Shield puts out these healthy hometowns where they guide by certain metrics, and then you can use that in your tourism or whatever. And so it looks like they're going to try to leverage that to get city councils to vote for this
Mm.
thing.
I guess they were citing studies or anecdotal evidence where people were having seizures after they smoked their Juul e-cigs.
Yeah.
All Juul e-cigs have a high level of nicotine. May contain as much nicotine as a pack of 20 regular cigarettes.
Yeah, but you
Um,
don't like
take
empty
it down
the
in
whole thing
one.
at once,
Right,
right? Yeah,
right,
it's
right.
like you just probably take rips off it for
Yeah.
2 weeks or something.
I tried these things when they first came out. When they were first taken off, it was called Blue e-cigs or
I
something.
remember seeing those.
Yeah,
Yep.
early adopter of it, and they were okay. They made me feel a little jittery, a little like energetic, but I don't know. It seems to me that if you were a lifelong chain smoker like myself, just kidding, it'd be a good way to wean yourself off of
Yeah.
a dangerous habit and addiction.
Well, is it for sure better than smoking though?
I
Like,
would say
gonna
so,
compare it, like,
right?
because you're not inhaling all
gotta
the
be.
smoke.
I
and
think it's got to be.
Don't look at
Yeah.
me.
So like when you inhale smoke from tobacco, I mean it's combusted organics.
Right.
Yeah.
So and with additives, those studies are very well defined
Mhm.
about what is in cigarette smoke.
Yeah.
All the way back to Mrs. Reese, doing that. What was it? She had like this little
Yeah.
machine. She like pulled a cigarette through, and then
Yep.
you looked at the filter, and it was
Yeah.
all like,
This is one
"This
cigarette.
is your lung,"
Yeah.
And so I'd say bar none, it's better. I mean, yeah, maybe people are having cigarette or seizures because maybe they ripped through an entire pod at once and got overstimulated and then
On the-
seized.
And then the same token, I remember in high school there was a group of girls who were popping caffeine pills, and some
Yeah.
had similar issues. So,
Yeah. Well, in the football locker room, how many cans of chew were
Oh,
floating
yeah.
around
That, yeah,
down
yeah.
there in the wrestling room and all that stuff? Like I think it's very much like Kevin said, clutching of the pearls.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
think of the children and
It's not allowed at Iowa Lakes. You can't vape, and I guess see that because if you're sitting in class and there's 5 people or plumes of
Yeah.
vape popping up, it could be distracting. I would
Sure.
say, but that's about the only justification I could say. For
Mm-hmm.
can you outside or can you nowhere on school property?
You have to be so far away from school property to do it.
Is that the
Yeah.
same for cigs?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all lumped together.
Yeah, that's the way it was at my any hospital I worked at.
Mm.
You couldn't on hospital grounds,
Yeah.
and so the smokers would walk across the street,
Can't
stand
work.
there,
Mhm.
and
Can't do that at the
hang
college.
out.
Right across the street is the RWC.
Exactly. I was gonna say,
Yeah, you
Lucky
can't
Center. Yeah. Not to stereotype, but I'm wondering what all the construction workers do. those
correct.
Yeah.
Funny. Got some comments.
Ooh,
Oh yeah.
Dog.
Cherry Fairy Tale says, "Cutie in the glasses. Hey, hey, hottie." I assume she's talking about me.
it's got to be you.
Greenberg says, "I'm a member of the Feel Bad community."
Now, that's a committee I can get behind.
Nice. How do
We
I
just
be
go
in
around
that
and frown at people until they agree with us.
Scowl.
Oh, funny.
community? Good time.
Should we move on to the okay thing?
Yeah,
Or
I
if we
think that
are we
pretty sums
vape?
up
Are we
my-
smoked out?
My disgust for this
Okay.
proposition.
Yeah,
Shame on you.
indeed. Okay.
It's even blurred out.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're dealing with an ad. I think.
Life's rich.
Sponsored by
Ritz.
Ritz.
Good morning, Lauren and Dan. The Cubs responded quickly to the incident and may take action against the person who made the gesture during the.
So, do you guys know the context of this?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it was
Fill in the
essentially
listeners.
It was a fan, right?
a fan sitting. There's a guy like saying, "Okay, the next batter is going to be so and so or whatever," and then there's a guy behind him doing the okay sign or whatever.
Yeah.
Live broadcast. It happened while former Cub Doug Glanville was on the air for NBC Sports Chicago. A man in a Cubs sweatshirt.
That guy
First
looks
of-
like a threat.
First of all, it looks like something else, I think.
There it does.
Yeah.
Suspicious blur.
That's especially like right there at the.
Right.
Dude, there are children around.
Think of the children.
Someone needs to get the feel good
But
committee
we were
on
talking,
this
yeah, definitely. We were talking before we were on the air about like the circle game is below your waist, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
If you have a circle below your waist, your buddy looks at it, then you just slug him in the arm.
right.
Yeah.
Did that
And-
originate from South Park?
I don't know.
That's where I first heard about it.
I remember it from Malcolm in the Middle.
Malcolm in the Middle.
think
that was
that's-
it.
yep.
Yes.
Dude, fantastic
So
show.
people of our vintage would certainly know what we're talking about, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It apparently has
Like,
been
oh.
co-opted.
Yeah, when did this
Okay.
get co-opted as the what's it mean, like white
So
power or
I-
something? Or
I actually kind of know the history behind it because, more or less, like so a lot of the anti-SJW stuff starts in 4chan nowadays,
Yes.
and so like there was this thing where it's like, hey guys, do you think that we could get people to think that the OK symbol is a symbol for white power? Because it's got the W here and the P, and that
Mhm.
stands for white power. And so anytime anybody puts up the OK symbol, they're just signaling white power. And then it worked.
Mhm.
It's like it's the most ridiculous thing ever because it's like if you don't want. So let's say that like these 4chaners had like the worst intentions where they really wanted to like turn the OK symbol into like the white power symbol. The last thing you want to do is then be like, okay, yep, they got the
Right.
OK symbol.
Mhm.
Right. It's like their biggest victories are when they can turn the most benign things, the most irrelevant things into something racist or homophobic.
Yeah.
It's like they're why they
Feeds-
live. It's why they exist.
One of them that is going
Nourishes
on.
the trolls.
Yeah, exactly.
One of them that is going on right now that I absolutely love is that they have taken the rainbow flag and said that is a symbol of hate because the colors are separate the way that they
Yes.
are meant to be.
Yeah.
The way-
I hadn't heard that one yet.
Beautiful.
Oh, jeez.
I wonder if that'll get traction. Like that sounds crazy.
yeah.
Wow.
And the other one that I remember a long time ago was the "It's okay to be white."
Yeah, I remember that. That somebody when I was down in Drake, somebody slapped a bunch of "It's okay to be white" stickers
Really?
around or whatever, and people were like taking pictures and
Hmm.
like, "This is not okay, Drake."
So it's not
You need to
okay to
do
be
better.
white.
Yeah.
So it's not.
I don't know.
I don't know if it is or not anymore. 2017 is what I'm reading here for when the OK sign first kind of reared its ugly hand.
Sounds.
Have any white power people actually been like, "Yeah, this is our white power symbol," or is it all just
It's all just
4chan
reactionary
stuff? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
These things are hatched out of 4chan. They're just
Mhm.
invented.
And then it gets traction somehow, like the Twitter outrage mob
Yep.
gets a hold of it or something, and then
Yeah.
it turns into gospel somewhere along the line,
Yep.
and then
Right.
And
then
4chan
you-
rejoices.
and then you have people blurring it out on NBC.
Well, they're
Exactly.
always up to doing just the most offensive stuff. Like when they got Justin Bieber, like there was a poll out that was like, "Hey, where should Justin Bieber go for his first concert ever?" And they brought him, and they said he was going to North Korea. They said-
Oh my gosh! All right,
Beautiful.
let's keep going.
Yeah.
Seated behind Glanville flashed an upside down OK gesture, which is said to be a symbol of white supremacy. It was seen for several seconds before the broadcast cut to a graphic with stats. Very early this morning, Cubs president Crane Kenny issued a statement saying
This guy.
such ignorant and repulsive behavior is not tolerated at Wrigley Field. We're reviewing the incident thoroughly because no one should be subjected to this type of offensive behavior.
So, do you think the Cubs reacted appropriately, or
Absolutely. Yes.
They're-
We cannot have
yeah.
OK signs
They're
anywhere.
feeding. They're just feeding. They just feeding.
Yes.
What was it? Morgan Freeman who put it best, where it's like, "What's the way to stop racism? Stop talking about it."
Yeah, it's just feeding and feeding. Oh man.
so? Do you think? Let me ask this: do you guys think that the way the Cubs reacted was more about their conviction, or was it more about
No.
trying to avoid bad PR
Yeah,
or
that's all
perceived bad PR?
Pretty much all of it is.
Correct.
Nobody actually
Yeah,
cares.
D, all of the above.
It's just they don't want to be on the butt end of a Twitter
Yeah.
mob.
You've got to be on the right side of history.
Correct.
I wonder what this poor schlub who's giving the sign was actually doing. Like, does he think maybe one of his buddies was watching at home and like this was their inside joke that they do back and forth all the time? And it's like,
Yeah.
I got you, man.
Well, how do we know it wasn't the circle game, right?
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even if like the dude was like I said, meaning it to be the white power symbol or whatever,
Mhm.
you just gave him like the largest platform on earth to now spread that message.
Right.
Mhm.
And now it's being repeated on the morning news, and now it's being shown.
Yeah.
And blurred out, so
Blurred
people
out.
are like, "Ooh, this is
Oh,
This
let's
is
find
edgy.
let's
edgy
find
material."
we better find
Yeah.
the unedited clip. I saw the
Here you
original.
go, folks.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Zach being racist on camera.
Oh man.
And the statement goes on to say that offenders could be permanently banned from Wrigley Field, but there is no indication yet that the Cubs have identified or banned the person involved with the incident last night. And you may recall that earlier this year, the team had to respond to racist emails linked to Joe Ricketts, the patriarch of the family, which now owns the Cubs. We're live at Wrigley Field. Nancy Liu, WGN News.
Do you think it made a difference that the guy was doing it behind a reporter that was black?
Probably. That's a good point. Yeah.
You know, I didn't even notice that until you said it.
Zach doesn't see color.
Yeah, I really don't.
Well, that's good, Zach.
Yeah. I'm just so woke. I don't see color.
Yeah, that's good. Very good.
Mhm.
What have we got going on in the chat?
Um,
Honk honk. Oh no.
oh man, the honk
Clown
thing.
World. My wife, Gerald Greenberg. Wonder who he is.
Okay. I was just curious because I tried to send out the Project Ion podcast to
Oh yeah,
Oh,
we
a
cool.
lot of people.
yeah we got a
Thank
few
you.
more viewers than normal.
Yeah. So Zach, do you want to give like 2 minutes of who you are?
Oh yeah,
Why you're
we
here.
maybe should have done that first.
Yeah.
My bad, dude.
We just had too much to
Sure.
discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, racist hand symbols and whatnot take precedent.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm an Iowa Lakes Community College student with Kevin Grims being my main instructor.
Overlord.
I'm a game design and development student. I formed. I have this group that was kind of formed between like a bunch of guys. We came together and we said, "Hey, let's make a game together." And so we made this game, and it's called Project Roll, and we're hoping to release it sometime this summer.
Project what? I didn't catch that word.
Project Roll.
Okay.
Well, that's its like tentative title. We do have like the actual title, but we don't have the copyright for it
Okay.
yet. So.
What's the? Could you talk a little bit about the game?
Oh, sure. So essentially, you're like a bowling ball who's just like rolling around trying to like grab these golden pens, and we're thinking of making it more like the game will be kind of like an American Gladiator style game where you'll just hear this like over the top announcer just being like, "Oh, go get the pens! You gotta get through this obstacle course in
Sounds
record
fun.
times."
I love that.
That's a good idea, man.
And and that's the we just thought of that just because of like some of the objects we just put into the game.
Cool.
Are you
And-
guys still running the business out of studio?
Yes. But we'll have to go and talk to them because we haven't been there in a while. And we feel bad, and we want it to be clear that it's like, yes, we're really appreciative. We just it's part of our longer history, but like we just let's just say we had a project, that project fell through. That was supposed to come out last summer. It didn't, and so then it was one of those. It's this weird feeling of like we want to prove ourselves
Yeah.
before we can earn a place like Studio 12 or something like that.
Sure.
Mm.
Okay.
And so it's always a weird feeling being there and be like, we don't belong here.
So when are you going to actually graduate?
That is a good question.
Soon.
At the very least, fall
Yeah.
of this year.
You're done with all my classes.
Yes. Yep.
Cool beans.
Right on, man.
Nice, man.
So
Yeah.
could you talk a little bit about what goes into making the game? I
Sure.
mean, obviously computer stuff, but
yeah.
for the uninitiated, maybe.
So this is like our normal way that we do things. This game was a bit different, but like we normally like sit down and we like decide like, okay, we want the game to feel like this. Why don't we play a few games to like get some research done and like so like the game will fit like this style, this style, this style. And we'll sit down, we'll play through like those games and be like, okay, this is good, this is bad, we don't like this. So if we could change this about the game, well, now we can, and so, and then like at that point, we kind of just sit down and like write out a game design document based off of like the research, and then from there we begin just to build the stuff inside the Unreal Engine, which is the engine that we use, which
Yeah, it's always fun trying to explain that to people. Unreal Engine is basically a collection of like technology and features that many games are based off of.
Mhm.
It keeps you from reinventing the wheel.
Sure.
Right.
All the AAA companies use engines of some kind. Unreal tends to be the one of the more popular, more
The
versatile
gold
ones.
standard.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. Others are like Unity.
So like for games that are made on the Unreal 4, one of the more notable ones was like Yoshi's Crafted World on the Switch was made in
I
Unreal
haven't
4.
played it yet. Is it fun?
I don't know. I don't really like Yoshi.
I do.
Yeah,
I need to
and
play him.
No, and I get it. It was just one of those. It was just one of those things where I just don't like Yoshi.
Right.
I know that other people do. It's just something that doesn't tickle my fancy.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
He's so cuddly.
I gotta look
Speaking
at.
of Yoshi, I just rediscovered Yoshi's Island on
Sweet.
Super Nintendo.
That was a good
Absolutely.
game.
Yeah, man.
That's
a
a lot of
blast.
fun.
Yep.
I have been balls deep in the new Mortal Kombat lately.
Is it 11?
11.
How is it?
Yeah. It's fun.
Hmm.
I mean, it's for me it's just kind of brainless.
Yeah.
I'm not great at it, so
Button
it's a lot
mashing.
of button
Yeah.
mashing and but it looks beautiful.
Do they still have babalities?
I haven't found a babality yet.
Okay.
They got the the normal fatalities, and they got like the super fatalities, and they have one called Mercy, like a mercy mode, and
Yep.
like help
Friendship.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought the animalities were pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Those were sweet.
But,
But the storyline's always fun
Yeah.
for me on the Mortal Kombat games, like playing through the story mode, and it's kind of like a movie,
yeah.
which takes me back to the the first movie. It was just
Mhm.
Oh,
so good.
Yeah, the
so,
90s one.
So
Yeah.
good, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are $400 sunglasses,
Yeah.
asshole.
No,
Shut up,
guys,
quick.
you don't understand. We have to destroy the 7,000-year-old monument for the Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah.
Oh, good
Oh, I
times.
love that old stuff.
So,
Yeah.
are all three of you guys like current on the console thing? You've got all the latest stuff, or
I have
No.
a
Just
Switch.
the PlayStation. I got a
Switch?
PlayStation and a Switch.
okay,
PS4 and a Switch.
yeah,
I'm debating. I kind of like. I love Forza.
Mm.
I really like Forza. It's a really pretty game. Like the customization's really neat. But I don't know if I can justify buying another console.
mhm.
I don't have a ton of
hear ya.
time to play it.
Do you do PC gaming at all?
I don't.
Yeah?
I don't. Never got into it.
Hmm.
I had friends in college, and we'd play college stuff. We'd play Quake, Unreal Tournament.
Yes.
And then what's that other one with the real guns? People still love it.
Doom.
No, like Army Guys.
The Call of
It's
Duty.
Sort of.
Medal of Honor.
But yeah, it's in that vein. But it's one that's still super popular, and people get all the skins for the guns, and I'll think of it in a minute.
I don't know.
What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was
Um,
responding to somebody with.
Yeah, no, it was a game. It was kind of
CS:GO.
like CS:GO.
Yeah, that must be.
That's Counter Strike.
Nice.
Yeah, we played a lot of that over the school network
Oh,
in college.
I died so much.
Yeah,
So
me
good.
too.
Anyway.
Yeah, I fell
Cool.
off the console wagon
So did
somewhere
I.
after like PlayStation 2.
I think the Wii U killed my inner Nintendo fanboy.
Yeah.
I hear you. I've always been a PC gamer, so I'm
Mhm.
big on Steam and all that stuff.
Sure.
Though the Switch has definitely been like recapturing.
Switch
Yeah.
is great, isn't
I
it?
would love to
Yeah.
have a Switch.
It's the portability is.
Oh
great,
yeah, yeah,
and
and the games are just
yeah, Zelda's been
Breath of the Wild.
fun.
Fantastic.
It's so big.
It was one of those games that when I played it, it was one of those like, well, might as well stop being a game designer. I'm never gonna get to this
Yeah.
level.
It's complex as hell.
Yeah,
like
no
the
kidding.
cooking system and
Oh
all
yeah,
that
yeah.
is wild. It's a
And
lot of
and the fact that it like for the most part on day one it all worked.
yeah, yeah. I don't remember any updates really.
Yeah. I mean,
0 day, 20 gigabyte patches.
See, that's the shit with consoles anymore.
yeah.
Is that day one, 20 gig upload. Like you
don't
get your
beta.
new game, you're ready to play.
Fallout
50 minutes
76.
later.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Mm.
Mike.
I really
Um,
like Destiny. I've playing with your brother a little
Oh, yeah?
bit. We played. What was that other game that just came out? It fell off right away. I didn't play much of it.
It wasn't
but-
Apex, was it?
No,
Apex Legends.
no. I haven't played any of those. Is that a free one too?
Yeah, it's a battle royale.
Yeah.
made
I
by
haven't really
the-
gotten into any of those yet.
Those are hard to get into. I
Yeah.
think.
I don't like getting, called a faggot by 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
Just constantly.
I think it's hopped in the head.
Oh, you don't know how to live, man.
God.
yeah.
Filthy mouth on those little squeakers.
You
Yeah.
gotta learn this stuff.
It's got to be at the high school level. Well,
I
now high
personally
school
blame
yeah,
level.
the
blame those
schools.
high school
Those
teachers.
high school
Yeah.
teachers.
I would
and
say.
What are you high school teachers teaching?
What they think of
Yeah.
the children.
Next thing you know, they'll be teaching global warming.
Oh man, we're getting Kyle pretty good with
Yeah.
the global
Yep.
warming. What was it? The walruses were killing
The
themselves,
walruses were committing suicide
jumping off the icebergs.
because they were lost and confused.
Wasn't that on
It's on Our Planet or something.
or
like
yeah,
that.
the
Netflix.
the new yeah.
Yeah, they claimed that it was because they were lost and like there was no more ice, so they were getting confused.
They did have a huge penguin colony
I heard about that.
go down. Couple million penguins.
Yeah.
But out of that, the penguins that survived were able to join another colony, so they did learn that that was going to be acceptable. They didn't know if the penguins would be welcome in the
Oh,
the next penguin town over, I guess.
Kyle says don't start.
Well, if you would show up and defend your views,
Yeah.
Kyle.
Yeah,
cower in
come
your-
on.
Cave at home.
Right.
Start your own podcast.
Yeah.
What was the name of that game we played a little bit of, Kyle? With the suits of armor and I can't remember.
I saw this video recently.
Becoming a genderless monster.
Yep.
What?
Yes. Ooh.
Oh no, what have I gotten dragged into?
Oh, a Ritz ad.
Ritz really likes this today. Targeted ads.
I like Ritz crackers.
I'm a
Not
fan.
gonna lie.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice and airy, buttery.
yeah.
I don't mind
Pretty
him
good.
being scared of me. I
Good.
actually enjoy it.
Lily, look
It's
away.
just like funny because under this I'm literally just like a 5'3" human.
Oh. What was the thing next to her?
I don't know.
I'm not sure if we can call her
I
her
have
yet.
days off because obviously
How
I'm
dare
not like harassed like every day. There's a lot of loud reactions, especially looking like this. I don't know, it's strange. I'm Jasmine Bean and I'm into post-human, creepy and Japanese fashion.
Post-human.
Who isn't? Who isn't
Yeah.
into that?
Have you guys heard of that? I mean, that's
Post-
the look I'm going for.
Dude, can you
Most of the
imagine?
I
it?
can see it.
Imagine
Yeah,
if I
you-
showed up
yeah, I
at
appreciate
up at the pharmacy to Alan. Sorry, Alan, you can't fire me. I'm into post-human pharmacying right now.
Is that a protected class?
You can't fire me because I'm no longer a human. You
Yeah.
can only fire humans.
Yeah.
What was that movie
Checkmate.
with like the pumpkin guy and it was like a Tim Burton movie or something?
Oh,
and
Nightmare Before
yeah,
Christmas.
yeah.
Christmas.
This lady wants to
Absolutely.
look like
Yeah.
a.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. I like the wife, but
A lot of people feel like people that dress like this are wasting their body, but I feel
And
that
time.
I'm wasting my body by not doing this.
Is that a bra on her head?
I'd like to say my inspiration is a bit of like fantasy, fairies, and cool little like creatures, like mythology.
I like fairies and I dress up as a skeleton.
I wore it to like this con and I was like carrying the spider around like that as if it was like my pet. I have like a lot of like Japanese toys and also like the more Tim Burton-y side, dark,
There you go.
creepy.
Yeah.
Bloody nose bear. What?
Why?
Yeah, that's a little
Where do you
weird.
buy this stuff?
How long does
Oh,
it
then.
take her to get ready for school every day?
Good question.
Too long.
Yeah.
It's like this is your outfit for, in line at the grocery store or
Right.
whatever.
Go to
I'm here to
church.
pick up some apples.
Make sure they're certified organic.
I mean, more power to her, I guess,
Yeah.
for
No GMOs.
doing whatever she wants. Yeah, but it's a little
Like,
weird.
What the hell? Could see the bacteria. I started just with drag makeup. I was doing like face looks, and it just kept on evolving and evolving. It just feels like it's like cutting into my eye, but it's okay. Anything for the look. Everyone has to suffer a bit for fashion.
Anything for the look.
A nullification is just like when you have no sexual organs, or at least that you can see. Right now I'm wearing a binder just to give off more of like the alien genderless look. I'd like to wear it more.
So, those of you who maybe know like the cosplay thing, that's a thing, right? Where you go to comic book
Yeah, I
conventions or
guess.
whatever,
Yeah.
and then you dress
Look
up
up like a character.
character.
Well,
or
yeah,
something like
but
that.
it's just dressing up. It's not adopting.
Yeah, it's not like
lifestyle.
Your
a
daily.
day-to-day
Yeah.
affair.
'Cause
Yeah.
I don't think when I see like somebody cosplaying as like Zelda that person then identifies as
Yeah.
Princess Zelda.
No. You must call me Zelda.
Okay.
You
then.
must save me from Ganon.
Oh, save me, great hero. Well,
This
then.
is an interesting segue into something I've heard about, which is Google is going to be releasing 53 new gender fluid emojis.
Oh yeah.
So specific to Android devices, I suppose.
Okay then.
They said there's already how many thousands of emojis out there? Like several thousand at least.
53.
Yeah. Google's
few
launching
more.
53 updated gender ambiguous emojis as part of a beta release for smartphones. Whether Google calls them non-binary or not, they've been designed to live between the existing male and female emoji and recognize gender as a spectrum.
Oh, okay. I thought they were going to be like 53 different gender.
Well, they
Oh.
kind of are. They're more or less
Emojis.
resolve into different hairstyles
Right.
and different skin tones.
Okay.
It says the lack of gender neutral symbols in texting results in giving us zombies, merpeople, children, weightlifters that are neither male or female. We're not calling this the non-binary character, the third gender, or an asexual emoji, and not gender neutral. Gender neutral is what you call pants. But you can create something that feels more inclusive.
How many
Thanks.
emojis do you guys use on the regular?
0.
Yeah.
Just don't use the okay emoji.
Right.
Occasionally,
A
like
smiley face or
Yeah,
something.
right.
yeah,
or,
if I'm being like sarcastic, I might use
do
a
a
smiley
wink or
face
something.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't say I do too many.
Yeah, like it's helpful if you're trying to convey like expression or emotion in text. Or,
Yeah.
things that can't be conveyed with just words.
But
Yeah.
but so like the bag of tricks that you need for emojis is fairly limited, right?
I would
Right.
say so.
Like under 10.
Well, that's like why they were.
Here they are.
That's kind of like why
Holy.
they were originally like yellow, was because
Right.
they could be any gender at that
Mhm.
point. Kind of
Right.
like with the Simpsons, even though
Right.
there are still black people in the Simpsons,
Yeah.
which I don't have a problem with. I want to make that clear.
You never know about using that.
Thank you for that disclaimer.
you got to do it, otherwise, like 30 years from now, people are going to pull up this podcast
Yeah.
and
More akin to the original one-size-fits-all bathroom symbol. Well, thank God, all the world's problems are solved.
hmm
yeah, I can't imagine, like, this is coming from a privileged white guy or whatever, but I can't imagine living in a world where my biggest concern is that I don't have emojis that represent me well
Yeah.
enough.
How privileged is that?
Yeah. It's not like your problem is where's my next meal gonna come
Right.
from?
Yeah,
Or,
or
how am I gonna pay my rent
I
this
can't
month?
add.
Or,
yeah.
yeah.
My emoji on my $700 smartphone doesn't accurately.
It doesn't look like me.
Also, down with capitalism. My
Down with
$700
capitalism
iPhone.
on Facebook.
And that's like, yeah.
Oh boy.
Did Facebook get in trouble this week for something?
Well, I'm
I feel
drinking
like I saw a
Starbucks.
story on that where they.
Yeah, so they just banned a new batch. It's like every
Okay.
week there's a new batch of
Yeah,
bannings
yeah,
that we
yeah.
have to talk about.
That's what it was.
There was Alex Jones's buddy, Paul Joseph Watson, who's fairly entertaining. Affiliated with Infowars, got banned. Laura Loomer, have you guys heard of her?
I have.
Mm-mm.
I hadn't heard of her until she got banned, but she's like
Yeah,
this
I didn't watch her much. But
white Jewish conservative who
Yeah.
did stuff like went to Nancy Pelosi's house and brought illegal immigrants with her and like camped out on her front
Yeah.
lawn because all are welcome here.
Yeah.
And gets in trouble every
She
time.
shock value
Yes,
type.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not really down with that, but I appreciate her message. But anyway, she
Right.
got booted. Farrakhan.
Yeah,
Louis Farrakhan,
Yeah, right.
who I love. I just discovered Louis Farrakhan and his theology.
Oh man,
It's like the
wild.
African American Scientology.
Yeah, it's
fantastic.
wild. There's
Oh, no.
spaceships,
Yeah.
motherships, and stuff involved. and-
Mad scientists who invented the
Yeah.
white man.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Oh, dude, it's
Who
wild.
invented white people again?
Yakub. I've looked into it.
Yakub, that's right.
He grafted black and brown folks together to create the white man. I love Farrakhan.
Yeah.
But he's gone.
Well, didn't people accuse Facebook of throwing him in the mix just to like
Look good.
look good?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nobody could say, oh, it's just this categorical ban on right wingers or something.
Yeah. And you can say whatever you want to about all these bannings and stuff, and it's fine. These people can do what they want, I guess, with their platform, I suppose. But I've been hearing about like credit card companies like MasterCard kicking people off from using their payment processors because of their stance on politics. That's the part that scares me.
On top of that, like, and I don't know 100%, I was just watching a video on this, was that like there is a difference between like a platform and a publisher.
Exactly.
And like, so like a platform, very similar to like if somebody's using a cell phone company to like do drug deals,
Yep.
the cell phone company isn't entirely like liable for that. It varies, but like at a certain point, if the cell phone company were to be like trying to monitor that stuff, they no longer become a platinum. I'm not wording this right.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, they can't be held responsible if you use a cell phone to buy drugs. CNN, if they were like selling drugs through their website or promoting that, then they could be held liable.
Right, because they're more publishers than a
Right.
platform.
Exactly.
Hmm.
It's like,
And so like
yeah.
that's kind of what Facebook and Twitter are right now, is that they are platforms.
Yep.
But like now that they are attempting to censor, they're losing that right of being platforms, and they are
Right.
becoming publishers.
yes,
Interesting.
where they're filtering what is allowed and what isn't.
Right.
Yeah,
And like I said, I only barely watched a single video on it.
sure. Do you think there's anything to the argument that the Facebooks and the Twitters and stuff, it's like the new sidewalk, or you know what I mean?
New public square.
New public square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
I
How do you guys feel about
There's
that?
an argument, I guess, for it, but they're very profitable, privately owned
Yeah.
companies. They're publicly owned, I guess. They have stockholders and stuff, but
There's this series that's done by a guy by the name of Mysterious Mr. Enter, and it's called Technocracy or something like that, and it's near conspiratorial, all things considered,
I'm
but
listening.
it's I think that you would actually get a kick out of it, Kevin. It's him pretty much like dissecting like how much power these like companies have over us and how they're practically becoming the new forms of government.
Yeah.
And
that would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
well, it's more or less like, it's not like a fictional series. It's him explaining that this is going on right now.
Right.
Sure. What was it called again?
Technocracy.
Technocracy.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a
Ruled by
Macaulay.
robots.
Yeah, that reminds me of a Macaulayism.
Yes.
The technocracy is the government
Yeah, it's on.
ruled by robots.
I know it's on YouTube.
Oh, civics with that man.
Yeah, man. I remember you came running into the room and you're like, dude, we skipped World War II because you guys were beating us. Or something like that. Because Mr. West class was ahead of Mr. Macaulay.
Yep.
So,
So we just skipped World War II. Just kidding. Okay, so and the Germans and Japanese lost. So
so we're going from the Great Depression right into the
Oh,
Eisenhower
man.
administration.
Well then.
it was just so easy to get that man off topic too. Just get him all riled up.
Yeah.
And I remember him explaining political parties. And the way that he explained, I'll never forget this because it just, like, down the road, once I actually got into politics and stuff, it just made me almost gag how true it was. Because now the difference between the two major parties are the Democrats, those are more likely your teachers. And the Republicans are more likely your bankers. And that's all I knew about politics until I went to college.
The two kinds of people.
Yeah, you're either
Teachers and
teachers and
bankers.
bankers.
Oh, boy.
Holy. Oh man, we had
Funny.
some dumb wrestlers in our class too.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them said that he was on Facebook arguing politics with people, and he can barely speak like English, and not because English is the only language he can speak. He
Yeah.
just isn't very eloquent at
Yeah.
it.
Careful.
You're right.
And and he goes, "You don't want to argue with me. I got a B in civics." And that was like his whole take home point.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Oh,
Dude, I'm
man.
right. 'cause I-
Argument from authority.
exactly. But I'm sure
I
think
passed
it's
intro to sociology with an
easier.
81%. I know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Do they have any government civics stuff at the college?
They do. It's fairly limited from what I
Okay.
understand. My students don't usually take that kind
Yeah.
of stuff, so I don't
Not required for the
know.
Not
We-
anymore.
program.
We take more like philosophy and critical
Sure.
thinking, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Although I did take intro to sociology.
You did, yeah. I know you did.
Sociology. I never had one of those either.
I was a little
Nope.
disappointed with my psychology class, being that it was just basically a study of the brain. Kind of bored me.
Did
not a-
you have that at ILCC?
Yeah,
Or?
I
It
don't
wasn't
know.
actually like behavior and
Right,
stuff
right.
like that.
Behavioral
Yeah.
would have been more interesting. to
Right.
me.
I took Psych 101 at Iowa State. It was the hardest 101 I've ever been in.
How
Like
many
I,
hundreds of
Yeah, I was
students?
Oh
gonna
my
say
God.
900.
a jillion of us in there, and you got extra credit for like signing up for experiments and stuff for the
Yeah.
department, and I did like everything possible.
Well, that explains.
Yeah, right. And that was the only way I would have. Otherwise, I would have.
Jim, you're just skewing studies.
Yeah, man. I went to one.
hypnotherapy.
I went to
like
one
Bloomberg.
intoxicated.
Yeah.
It was
Yes.
like 5 o'clock on a Monday, and I got back to the dorm or apartment thing, and my roommate John and I were just like, yeah, let's
Let's do it.
pound some beers, and like, oh god, I gotta go to this psych experiment thing. Like, I got hit by a car, and I'm filling out a bubble sheet, and people are just looking at me and stuff, and I don't know, it's sort of a blur, but
That's funny.
college.
I got through all my 9 years of schooling without taking psych.
That's impressive.
9 years of college
Wow.
and no psychology.
Very
I took like Russian history, two semesters of of Russian history classes
Wow.
to get my like humanities type credits and stuff like that.
Right.
Oh, it works.
I never took a comp class, not a writing class.
Mm.
Oh, really?
I had to take one of those.
Mm.
Oh, might have take two.
I took
And then
two.
I had to take 2 religion classes.
Yeah,
Took one just called The Good Life.
Really?
Just called The Good Life.
Sounds like the healthy living.
The
Yeah,
feel-good
yeah.
committee.
Oh no, it
committee.
was taught
Feel
by
good.
this hippie guy in the religion department, and it's just about how everyone's always just looking for the good life. And then I wrote my final paper about the Oneida cult type community up in upstate New York. They're just a
Okay.
bunch of polygamists and just doing it all the time and
Nice.
just living that good life, you know?
Sounds rad.
Yeah, it's like they weren't really hurting anybody.
And dude, my religion classes story, this is great. So I something general religions or whatever. You learn about all different stuff,
Yeah.
and you had to pick a religion
Right.
and study it and go to a service and stuff. And I picked Mormons, and it was like a beautiful sunny day. I was like taking a nap in the middle of the afternoon, whatever. Thinking, man, I should really get going on this homework because I have to write a paper and give a presentation and stuff.
Yeah.
Knock, knock, knock.
Mormons showed up.
Mormon missionaries.
Wow.
I'm like,
Yes.
little
Divine
divine-
intervention.
divine intervention, big time. I'm like, come on in, boys.
Let's talk about collage.
They gave me a Book of Mormon and stuff, and we're running through it and tell me all about it. I'm like, bro, I'm just doing a project. I don't really care. No, I'm not signing
I'm
up.
sure they
but-
came back.
Well, I was like, I'll come check out your church or whatever. But they would. I couldn't go to a service, but I could go get a tour of the building.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
of
And
course.
I thought I knew where it was, and I thought it was pretty close by. So I just walked there, but I must need glasses because it said like, instead of saying Latter-day Saints, it said like Lutheran Day offices or something, or whatever.
Gotta
It
pull a
sounds like
fast
the
one
wrong
on
thing.
you.
Yeah. So I'm walking around. I finally find the place. I get up there and I'm like, man, felt like I was Brigham Young on the Mormon Trail, guys. And they were getting all offended. And they
Dude,
showed me
that's like
around.
their- it's like their prophet, man.
I just kept making wisecracks. And they showed me their baptism thingy and
With the font,
it was like the
with it-
full.
and it's got
They do like full immersion baptism and
So they have a
that.
tub.
Yeah, it was like a giant hot tub thing.
Cool.
and
Yeah.
isn't on the bottom. It's like held up by a bunch of. Was it a temple?
This one was a
Was it an actual
It was
temple,
a
like the white with
church in Ames thing. So I don't know.
Man,
The
there-
temples are
kinda-
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
there's some really cool like YouTube videos
Yeah.
on the inside of temples and showing you all because they have different rooms for different stations that you do,
Right.
I guess, and they baptize dead people.
Yeah. Good
Hitler
times.
got baptized.
They were ready to get rid of me
Yeah.
after a while.
I'd ask a lot of questions.
Yeah. I don't know. They were nice boys, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Of course.
Oh
But
yeah, dude. All the Mormon people I've met have been super friendly.
that
Yeah.
the mission thing that those guys do is pretty serious.
It's
It's like
intense.
a 2-year commitment, I think, and you
Yeah.
could go anywhere
Yeah.
basically.
Anywhere in
you
the
know.
world.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I knew because I mean, just the family that we know. like,
yeah.
One went to Brazil.
Mhm.
One was in California.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where the other kids went, but
Yep.
like you can't talk to your significant other unless you're married.
Right.
Well, you can't be married before the mission or something.
Your
maybe.
parents limited contact. With
Yeah,
them.
you can like once a week,
Yeah.
something like that with the parents. Like you don't do the internet and
Where's
in-
the closest Mormon
church.
gathering?
I don't
place?
know.
Yeah. Is there one
Uh,
around here? Like, where did that family go?
Maybe like
Worthington,
Spencer,
maybe?
Worthington. Yeah, I
Something
would
like that.
guess it'd probably have to be a jaunt.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
yeah, it's a little ways.
Yep.
Yeah, them and
Wow.
around here though, I don't see the Mormons door knocking. More, it's more the Jehovah Witness
Yeah.
out door
Had a
knocking.
couple of
or-
those come up to the door once.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
oh yeah. That's a whole
Get
different.
the watchtower
That's a
pamphlet.
whole different thing, man. Oof.
Told them I witnessed a demon exorcism, and they were out of there.
I don't like. They don't play with that. A fun thing about their churches that I was reading about, their churches are all built without windows
Oh,
because
wow.
they kept getting like super vandalized like all
Really?
the time.
I could
Yeah.
see
So
that.
if you go by the Kingdom Hall over on the way to Spirit Lake,
Oh yeah.
you'll notice there's like no windows
Yeah.
on the
Hmm.
on the ground floor.
Well, that's kind of shitty. I mean, people shouldn't just
Right.
leave them alone, man. You know, they
It's,
can-
yeah. How
believe
many
whatever
other
they want,
There's
yeah.
what 12 churches in Esterville.
Yeah.
They got
Right.
windows.
Every street
Yeah.
corner.
Churches and banks.
Yeah. It used to be Casey's.
And it used to be Casey's.
Remember when they had Casey's right across from a
From
Casey's?
Casey's?
That was
Yeah.
hardcore.
They still have
Casey
that.
Caseyception.
No, wait, I'm thinking of Sheldon.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
used to have 4 in town. That was wild.
Now we're
but I
getting
mean,
a quick trip, I guess.
Now we're getting a
Oh,
quick
I heard
trip.
about
that.
Kind
Yeah.
of stoked about that. They have good pizza too.
quick trip.
Mm.
So what's
And-
going to happen to the building that has Godfathers in it?
It's a good question. It's for lease. I heard through the grapevine that
Rumblings.
rumblings of a pizza ranch potentially.
Mm.
So that could be.
Real uptown.
Fancy.
Yeah.
I think they do well in Osterville.
I think
but,
so too.
Yeah.
You know, I always thought Godfathers did well until,
Yeah.
and then like one switch in management, and then all of a sudden it just wasn't doing
House
well
of
of
Cards,
anymore.
man.
and-
That would be the one thing that I would want to get an interview of, is somebody who was there during that shift that they all just left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be a fly on the wall for that.
Yeah. There's no what the whole reason behind it was, and
Right.
Well, it
hear it
sucks that-
from the source.
That was
Yeah.
my favorite taco pizza.
Oh,
Like,
Oh,
tonight
everybody's,
I'm
yeah.
driving
Yeah.
to Spirit Lake
Right.
after this, and I'm
Yeah,
picking
you-
up my parents and I a taco
Ta-
pizza
Get some taco.
and driving back.
And that was the only arcade in town too.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
that Godfather's
Yeah,
little
dude.
arcade.
Get
in
the
back.
bouncy balls from the cat.
How's your
machine thing.
memory? Want to try?
Yeah.
How's
you
your-
wanna
oh
try?
man,
How's your memory? Wanna
nightmares
try?
of that
Oh.
that sound loop. Bow, bow, bow.
And I think you got a ball like no matter how bad you did.
Yep.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then they'd just be flying around in there.
But like back in the day, they had Cruising USA.
Yes.
Oh,
They had
yeah.
they had a pinball that
Street Fighter 2.
Street Fighter 2.
Oh, wow.
That game's dope.
I remember one time I just flipped out on my parents. Dad wouldn't give me any more quarters. He probably didn't have any change. And I'm like, when I get older, I'm gonna give my kids all the quarters they want. Just being a little bitch. Just like-
Yeah. It's kind of sad that like our kids are never gonna understand like the concept of an arcade,
Yeah.
and going to an arcade, because like this device holds
Yeah.
the
Right.
entire arcade.
Right. Arcades. Yes.
We went
And it
Arcades are
holds
dope,
like
man.
an infinite amount of arcades as
There's
well.
a new one in Ankeny.
Yep.
That's really nice. It's attached to that. They got that new IMAX theater.
Mm.
And then it's got a bowling alley and like an arcade. Arcade's
Oh,
got
nice.
VR stuff. Like it's got a VR room and set up, and then we went and played in another one in Ames. I think they had mini golf and bowling and stuff too, but we just kind of played the arcade games and
Well, I feel like that's what the arcade will be limited. It'll be kind of like taking advantage of the nostalgia factor.
Yeah,
Right.
The
for
only
sure.
clientele will be people from our vintage.
The other ones you see a lot are your claw machines, of course, and then
Yeah.
the ones that just spit out tons of tickets.
Yeah.
that you can
Right.
redeem. There's no like electronic gaming involved.
Right.
Just
Mm.
pushing it.
Yeah. Push a button and out comes the tickets.
Right.
the barcades are kind of popular.
Yeah.
Up Down in Des Moines is kind of fun. You know, you can get all drunk and play all your. Again, it's got all the good old school games. You know, it's got Teenage Mutant Ninja
Sure.
Turtles,
Oh yeah.
Turtles in Time,
That
Oh,
was a
man.
great
There's a
game.
Simpsons one. That was good.
Simpsons
Ah,
game.
the
Yeah,
Simpsons game.
I put a lot of money into
Yeah.
that out at Skateland.
Skate
Way
Land,
too
yeah.
much.
There's always Bart.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
he had a
Yeah,
long
man.
reach with the skateboard, and
I like Marge. She had the vacuum.
Yeah.
People with the vacuum
I was
cleaner.
gonna say Marge.
Oh boy.
Funny.
It's not like Homer.
Got
had,
any
like, the
more
hardest
material,
hits.
fellers?
How about spit myself?
All right.
Yeah, I haven't really heard of anything else on the news.
Yeah.
Check
Yeah.
out Project Roll.
That was all that happened
Do
last
you have
week.
a website or Facebook you want to
Oh
plug?
yeah.
Zach?
Oh yeah, you can check us out at Lonely Empire Studios on Facebook. Just search Lonely Empire Studios, and we're there. We got our on YouTube. We have a video that's the Project Roll announcement, and that has a link in the description that'll bring you straight towards our game. Because like trying to tell you to like go to Game Jolt and then search for Project Roll and then search for like the third one, and then that's the right one.
Light.
Sweet.
Cool,
Done
man.
and done.
Oh, thank you.
Sweet, dude.
All right.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah,
Excellent.
no problem.
All right.
Mhm.
Peace.
Thumbs up.
Peace.
Don't do the okay sign.